Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. Let's get into it. Today I want to talk about wealth, and I want to do so by referencing my mentors, the prophets, I think, in wealth, which happen to be Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. I'm sorry if you get tired of hearing about these guys, but I think it would be naive of us to study wealth and success in building wealth without constantly referencing these two individuals. Today, I am going to share some things written by Charlie Munger, and I might do a little bit more reading than I traditionally do, because I want to really make sure that we understand Munger's philosophy around investment. And I think that this philosophy applies well beyond just picking stocks, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so Charlie says in a speech he was given, I believe at University of Southern California, he said, "It's not given to human beings to have such talent that they can just know everything about everything all the time. But it is given to human beings who work hard at it, who look and sift the world for a mispriced bet that they can occasionally find one. And the wise ones bet heavily when the world offers them that opportunity. They bet big when they have the odds, and the rest of the time, they don't. It's just that simple." Now, I want to reflect on what he's saying here. What Charlie is saying is that it is not our talent as human beings to know everything about everything all the time. But we do have the ability to sift through all of the supposed opportunities out there and be patient. And when we find that one, bet heavily, go all in. But really, really scrutinize these companies, these opportunities, until one comes about. And once you make that big bet and the odds are in your favor, then just sit and hang out. And I know this sounds so simple, but it's so damn hard. It's so hard in investment. Wall Street thrives on our activity, constantly buying and selling. But Charlie and Warren believe you just have to make a few great decisions over the course of a lifespan, and things can work out incredibly favorably for you. To Charlie, it's a very simple concept. And yet in investment management, practically nobody operates this way. Warren Buffett, according to Charlie, operated this way. And there's a handful of others that might. But the majority of people, according to Charlie, have some other crazy construct in their heads. Instead of waiting for a near cinch and loading up on it, they apparently ascribe to the theory that if you work a little harder or hire more business school students, they'll end up knowing everything about everything all the time. And he just thinks that's totally insane. Warren has a great analogy. Warren says, I could improve your ultimate financial welfare by giving you a ticket with only 20 slots in it, so that you had 20 punches, representing all the investments that you got to make in a lifetime. And once you'd punched through that card, you couldn't make any more investments at all. Under those rules, you'd really think carefully about what you did, and you'd be forced to load up on what you'd really thought about. So you'd do so much better. What these guys are both saying here is that the winner has to bet very selectively. And it's been obvious to both of them for a very long time. And they don't know why it's not so obvious to everybody else. Let's go back to what Warren just said. Make believe he gives you a punch card with 20 opportunities. But those are the 20 opportunities you have to make in your entire life. These companies that you can bet on or invest in. How might you approach that project or that opportunity or building wealth in general if you knew you only had 20 swings? And what Warren's saying here is you'd probably be a heck of a lot more selective. You would do a lot more research. You'd be far more calculated. You wouldn't be impulsive at all. You'd remove emotion from the equation. To him, it seems so obvious. And by the way, that's more or less what Berkshire Hathaway has done, what Charlie and Warren's company has done. If you look at Berkshire Hathaway and all of the accumulated billions that it has, the top 10 insights of Charlie and Warren, the top 10 moves they've made account for virtually all of those dollars. So these guys have been around, or at least, the company itself. Unfortunately, Charlie passed. But the company's been around for 60 years. And they've made the vast majority of their billions in 10 or so decisions. Why? Because they're calculated. They do their research. They look for really great companies at a fair price versus very fair companies at a great price. It's a very different mindset. You hear me? They look for great companies at a fair price versus great prices on fair companies. They do these things. They're far more calculated. As a result, being more selective, they tend to have more success. Now, I'm talking about investment, but how many other places does this apply in life? Right? Think about, your key relationships. Now, sure, we're in those relationships every day or every week, maybe every month. But recognize that, I don't know if you feel this way, but I know when I look across my relationships, I could probably make a pretty compelling argument that those relationships are great ones or not so great ones based on maybe just a handful of days, right? Like certain things, certain experiences, certain conversations that were amazing made for this very long-lasting, amazing relationship. In other words, to Charlie's point, 10 insights, or to what Warren's point was, you have 20 opportunities, 20 holes to punch. I think that can be applied in relationships. I think it could be applied in health decisions. There's probably 10 or 20 decisions you made around your health that have led to you either being incredibly successful or not as successful. You follow me? So being selective as opposed to running after every new fad, trying every new diet, but being calculated and then going all in, betting heavily, proves to pay off more so in the health sector. So we can apply this all throughout. Bottom line, and I think the focusing question for you today, where can you begin to restrict the quantity of decisions you're going to make? And as a result, do more research, be more calculated, be more patient, and go all in on just a handful of things that make all the difference. That's all I have for you today, the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.